Topping today's news, the Prime Minister breaks down the government's mission while at COP28 in Dubai. The Carmichael Road Detention Center getting an official regulatory framework, and the Minister of Education addresses the ongoing issue of violence on school campuses after a stabbing incident on Tuesday. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. Prime Minister Philip Davis in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, for the 28th Conference of the Parties, or COP28. Before leaving the country, Prime Minister Davis was asked by members of the media to speak on the government's main focus while at COP28.
Well, what's on the agenda is action. I mean, we've been going to these events over the last 28 years, and we still don't see any relief from the consequence of climate change. Small island developing states that are most vulnerable to its impact are still suffering and being overburdened with debt because of reconstruction and recovery from these catastrophic events. And so we're going back again to see that we get action from the industrialized world.
During the Prime Minister's absence, Minister of Education Glenys Hannah Martin is serving as acting Prime Minister until he returns on December 4th. The Bahamas' main detention facility for illegal migrants, the Carmichael Road Detention Center, has from time to time come into question both locally and internationally regarding alleged ill treatment and or abuse of detainees. In the House of Assembly today, Alfred Sayers, the Minister for Immigration and the National Insurance Board, during a communication laid on the table in the House of Assembly regulations relating to the detention center. Minister Sayers says the Immigration Detention Center Regulations 2023 bill is a part of the government's commitment to tackle the immigration issues we face here in the Bahamas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's still laying documents. Communication. Yeah. Communication. Well, I have so much things on here. Yeah. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is my privilege to lay on the table of this honorable House regulations relating to the detention center. Today, this is a manifestation of the government's vision and commitment to the Bahamian people to advance a progressive immigration reform, to protect our borders, allow for the orderly growth of industry, and to treat irregular migrants in the Bahamas in a humane manner. This, therefore, calls for my ministry to have dual functionalities to protect the national security interests of the Bahamas in the exercise of the power of admissibility, of lawful entry into the country, to detect, apprehend, and process irregular migrants in the context of our laws and the international commitments and obligations that the Bahamas has voluntarily assumed through its accession to various international treaties.
Minister Sayers noted that the Carmichael Road Detention Center and other agencies that deal with migrants have been operating without a written regulation or without written regulations, which could leave the Bahamas open to many challenges, especially legally.
This facility, Madam Speaker, has been operational for almost 20 years and does not have regulations to govern its operations. This is a critical omission which makes the Bahamas open to international criticism and potential legal challenges. These regulations will also govern procedures at the family detention centers for women and children.
Despite not having an official regulation policy, Minister Sears maintains that the Carmichael Road Detention Center in particular and other agencies have acted humanely towards migrants. He also noted that a team from the United Nations Human Rights Arm will engage in a 12-day visit to the Bahamas when they will visit and tour all of the immigration facilities in country. Acting Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Technical, Vocational Training, Glenys Hannah Martin, giving an update on the incident on Tuesday involving a 16-year-old male student of C.R. Walker Senior High School being stabbed multiple times while on the school grounds. Preliminary reports indicate that after 1 p.m., the 16-year-old was attacked by two students aged 17 and 15. He sustained stab wounds to his lower back. The victim was transported by ambulance to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where he is listed in stable condition. Minister Hannah Martin had this to say.
That the incident involved with the alleged perpetrator was an 11th grade student. The student that was stabbed is in stable condition, and that's the status thus far. We suspect that he will be charged before the courts.
The Education Minister goes on to say that the government is continuing to look at ways to avoid these incidents on school campuses, noting that measures are in place to protect students on and off school campuses.
We've been trying very hard to secure campuses. Children are coming from very diverse backgrounds with different challenges. They come all together on a school campus, and we are working very hard to make it a harmonious, synergistic environment for young people. We have the police on the campus. Searches are conducted. I think students cooperate in ensuring that there's a safe environment. So we're trying very hard. I think that when you consider we have 150 plus schools, we are managing the situation, I think, as well as can be expected. However, this incident has occurred, and we will now go back to see what has to be done. What do we learn from this incident that allows us to ensure safety as we move forward?
Police investigations continue into that matter. Last week, we told you about the United States Embassy Nassau conducting an emergency preparedness exercise with Bahamian security partners, while the U.S. Embassy Nassau is reporting that the exercise was a successful one, and they have illustrated excellent coordination between the Embassy, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. You are looking at photos from that emergency exercise shared by the U.S. Embassy Nassau. During the exercise, the security partners practiced responding to a hostile attack on the embassy. In addition to testing communications between partners, the exercise included mock arrest, the evacuation of embassy staff, and emergency medical services to injured civilians. The embassy said these emergency preparedness exercises help evaluate their ability to protect staff and installations during an emergency. And finally, in this segment, a class action lawsuit in New York accusing Peter Nygard of assaulting 13 women in a wide-ranging criminal enterprise has been revised after the former Lyford Key resident was convicted of sexual assault in Canada. The revised lawsuit expands the list of defendants to include various companies that allegedly facilitated Nygard's criminal conduct. It is unclear if there are any Bahamian companies involved in that revision. The revised class action lawsuit also goes after 5 Canadian citizens who were officials in Nygard's companies and allegedly helped him evade accountability. The lawsuit reiterates some previous claims, including that Nygard used funds from his companies to make political contributions and bribe local government and law enforcement personnel. The original lawsuit had 9 alleged Bahamian victims. However, the plaintiffs in this latest lawsuit are 13 United States residents whose identities are being withheld. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.